Hello everyone. I got Lake Valley map up here. I've held off doing any kind of video on it until I got my mind right. When this first came out, I hated this map. And I kept telling myself that I need to just hold off and really take a better look at it by playing it, building on it, before I really say something I'm going to regret. We waited so long for another map, and they finally gave us one. And right off the bat, I'm like, I hate this thing. I liked it and I hated it. They got some really nice trees on this map, and what I hate about it, I haven't cut hardly any down, and there's like different biomes, so that's cool. I like that. You have the pine trees like we're looking at, which are really nice. A variety of pine trees so that you get some really cool looking effects from them. And then you've got the poplar trees that we had on the other map in the fall. Excuse me. They're really nice. And then up in the mountains you have the great big redwood trees. They're awesome looking. So I wanted to hold off just because I'm like thinking I'm just being too critical. What I don't like is that they just don't put enough trees down. You've got a lot of area where there should just be trees, and there's nothing. And I get you want to kind of space it going into this desert area, but there is just so many spots on this map, in my opinion, that should have more trees on it. Then I'm going to pull the map up here. So this is the map. And if you draw a line from corner to corner, this entire section of the map, in my opinion, is great to look at. If you want to build a track to drive through it, it's really cool to see. But if you're going to put factories down, there's no flat spots. I have some telegraph offices that I put down in towns that I made. And I'll go into that a little bit more, but the majority of all my industries are on the south of the dead line of the map. You got this great big lake. This is a dislike. The lake is cool. I love it. Great idea. And then next to no flat spots around it to put your sawmill at. A little aggravating. I just think that they could have done a better job at giving us flat, decent amounts of area and putting more trees down. But overall, I like this map. At first I didn't, now I do. I've built on it, as you can see, done a lot, which has helped bring me around to getting my head out of my ass about why I don't like it. So let's take a little bit of a look here. Sorry. I'm going to jump into fly mode. Go into this is my classification yard here. We got the depot where we start. Over here I've got a town. And this is the passenger line train. I don't really have a name for my railroad. I just throwed on Wabash Cannonball with the hobo name for the engine after the song. Excuse me. So what I've done, I've never seen anybody do this in railroads online, but I thought it'd be really kind of fun. And I've built the passenger train. This is the train line, and over there is the freight line. They're separate from each other. You cannot drive a freight line train on the passenger line train, and you can't drive the passenger train line on the freight line train. However, they do intersect each other in different spots. Through 90s and 45 crossovers. So the passenger trains will intersect the track going to its different locations. If I was going to go multiplayer, the rule would be that the passenger trains always have priority over the freight trains. So freight trains have to yield the right of way to the passenger train. So when the two come together at a crossing junction, the freight train would have to yield to the passenger train. Over at the sawmill is where I think, I see a lot of people putting them here, and I put mine here. I think it's probably the best location for the sawmill. But there's a lot of undulated ground that you have to deal with, and placing it here, you have to be careful when you do. Now this is my layout, and it looks like spaghetti, but it's actually very functional, so that the direction of travel, you can go in any direction that you need to. Over here is the coal mine area, and I've set this up a little different. I typically like to have a loop, and there's no way a loop would fit in here. So I thought, let's get inventive. Let's create something a little different. For the coal mine, I like to drag at least 20 cars. So I'm like, what am I going to do with 20 cars up here? It's a dead end. How are you going to get around? How are you going to move? So this is what I came up with. A couple round houses, turntables. Pull 10 cars in. Disconnect 10 cars back here, say, so that they would be disconnected about at the end of this ramp. Pull 10 cars up, disconnect them, get on the turntable, take it over, back down this way, grab those 10 cars. You could fill them up and then pull forward, drop them off, jump back on, around, push them down, hook onto them, fill them up, pull them back up, and then reconnect, jump on that third line, come down, come back in, backed in, hook onto 10 cars, pull them out, hook up to 10, and go on your way. In any direction, so you're constantly being able to, with all three lines, you can turn your train around any direction you want, move to get on any line you want, and work 20 cars at the coal mine that way. Not ideal, but hey, I'm like, kind of cool. I like it. Kind of enjoyed the way I set it up and got it looking. A little unique looking. Got the fire barrels out with buckets. We'll jump over to the logging camp location. I don't particularly like this location, but it'll serve its purpose. There just isn't enough trees again. Logging camp, a game that deals on logging, lots and lots and lots of trees to log, and look around, what do you see? Put a camp here, it'd last maybe a week or two, and you'd be looking for more trees to cut down. And it's kind of ridiculous, I think. You just need more trees. I don't know why they didn't paint them in, but they didn't. That's my logging camp, and over here is the smelter. And I got the loop in for the smelter here. Nice flat area for it. And not flat enough, I should say. Not perfectly flat, but it is flat enough. At pretty much every industry, the logging camp don't have one. Typically, loggers didn't take their family up into the logging camps and live around them. They moved around logging camps, you know. So a lot of industries, though, back in the day had company stores for all of the employees to buy from. There wasn't big shopping mall areas where you could run to Walmart back then. You worked for little to no pay. You bought from the company store, and you got deeper in debt. You could buy on credit, but they typically liked your wages to pay for what they sold you, and people could do like copper, bring in scraps, metal scrap, copper scraps, and stuff like that. A lot of stuff that they worked that way. But this is the logging camp, or the smelter. I put pictures of this, the new carts, and I wanted to use them, so I come up with this idea. And I like to, a lot of people don't like this, they don't care for this, but I put my track over my ore line, and then all I do is I just limit the amount you dump in here to 100 ore. Right now it's empty. But if you put 100 ore in, the pile will get up to almost the bottom of the wood section of the rail here. If you put 1,000 in there, like it will hold, you know, you can go way longer. But I'm like, it's kind of cool being that you have to make the run to go get the ore. And if you keep it at 100, you can produce all the product over here, 100 and 100. And it just kind of helps, I think, make the game more functional, because you got to make the run to go get the ore. So you go from the Courtwood to the drop off for the ore. put the little town in here, and then over this line rail above is the passenger line, and the passenger line comes into this town to its own little depot over here for picking up people. It'll be nice when they implement a way to make money with the passenger line. And I'm like, if you played multiplayer, you could put a little spur track like if this right here, and set a car here and put a load on it. Using Railroad Studio, have your passenger line come up so that every stop has a drop off good for goods, and you have to pick them up, and then when you hit your main depot you would unload them to make money. But on the passenger train, if you remember, one boxcar, one flat car. So you can't just go around picking everything up at one time and run back and make money. You just have to keep making big loops around and picking up these little sideline load transfers. Think about it like the town industry. They have goods they make, and then they want to ship out, and your passenger line comes around, picks them up, takes them back, and sells them at the depot. You could earn some money that way on a passenger line if you were doing multiplayer. So everybody has an outhouse, because there was no flush toilets back then. Get your livery and stables. Be nice to have our own writable signs, like the law office sign here, something that big, but is writable for us to use to write on, like these white ones here. Get rid of these white ones. They're nice for the railroad, but I don't really like using them on buildings. So it'd be nice to have a writable sign. So this is the smelter area, and it comes off. We'll jump over here to where I have the oil refinery. And the oil refinery does not have a passenger line that stops here, but it's got a company store. I'm not done setting it up yet, but it's getting close to being done. Most every industry has the Pinkerton Detective Agency stationed. They are the security arm of the company. If the workers get out of line, they go on strike. The Pinkerton Detective Agency would take over security and live up to their historic record of all the things they did back then. And we'll jump from there over to the ore mine located here. I got this idea off of a picture from a player. He found this location and it works really good. When he posted where he put his, I'm like, man, it's going to take me a year, but I'm going to find this same spot. And I found it, and he was 100% right. This is a really good spot for your ore mine. It comes up here and clears that rock perfectly. He did a real good job of finding this. And I put mine in the same spot he did. And here's a little something I like this. You're out here in the desert. I think this just adds something really cool looking to this desert area. An abandoned building. It just looks so cool out here. And my passenger line train actually comes through this area. Okay, this line right here crosses there, comes through this town. This is the passenger line, and this is the coal line. They're just mixed in together here. Another abandoned building. I like the buildings. I like the colors. The faded old paint. I like it. I've heard a lot of people complain about it, but I'm going to tell you, this is just beauty. I don't care about, how well the colors aren't real. Hey, this just looks so cool. They did an excellent job of designing that and making it. It's really neat looking. It would have been nice to have the tank done kind of the same way. And these sheds here, this natural color is really cool. Um, so filthy on the inside. There's just something about it. Like, oh my God. I would not want to sit in there, but there it is. I like to put the wood down. It's lower than, you can't have it up because of the hitbox will interfere with your trains and derail. But it looks really good when it's down, and the effect you get from it is a nice looking crossing, I think. So this is the passenger line. This is the ore mine line, and that has a turnaround for the ore mine, and the line for them intersect right here. You have to bring your train through the stone arch there. It's just mandatory for this map. Along the way, I wanted to drop in a little ghost town. You gotta have a ghost town in a desert, right? Back in the old west, the old trains. Come on, let's put in a ghost town. Abandoned. So cool looking. And you follow this around, just loops back over there, comes back here. And this is a passenger stop for the passenger train. These are the new waiting sheds. I would have loved it if they would have done the chip paint instead of having this. It's too bright. I'm sorry, guys. Devs, you need to dull the tone down, flatten it, and chip it, just like you did the building. They're too bright. They're too in your face, out of reality. They just don't look right. This looks like something you'd see in a modern town setting, not this old one. I hope you redo these. I like putting the hand carts at the telegraph offices. Um, Back in the day, they actually did this. and crews when the telegraph line would go down. Indians would cut them, bank robber or railroaders, robberies and stuff. They would cut the telegraph lines to kill being able to send a message out. And the storms, anything. But they would send crews out on a handcart to find the the problem and repair it. There was a famous incident where 4 or 5 guys went out um, to repair a broken line, and they got massacred by Indians. And there was only one survivor, and he was scalped, and he lived through it and made it back. And it was a pretty horrific story. But that's what they would do. They would travel the line and watch all the telegraph line wires and find a break and then repair it. So I put in the handcarts stations at every telegraph office. The oil field, haven't completely finished it, but I put it right here. This is a good flat spot. A lot of flat spot from here going back, actually. But you can't put everything on the map here, you know. And this is a big, probably one of the biggest industries for area you need. And this just fits the bill for it. It's good. Now let's show you the ugliest spot on the map, in my opinion. The absolute. Don't want to put nothing here, but I had to. I was forced to. This is the only place I could find for this industry that worked, where I could put a loop around in. And the ironwork sets here, and it's like just enough room for it. Just enough. And this is the ugliest spot on the map, in my opinion. I don't want to put it here, I don't want it here, but I had to put it here. It's just like, why is there no trees here? Right over there is the edge of the map. You can't go any further. And I'm like, this would have trees here. And there'd be lots of them. And there's nothing. It's like so sparsed out. I just don't get it. So, I like the map. I like the map. I don't like the map. I don't like the map. Kind of yo-yoing, ain't I? But I don't know what to do. You can fill it up with town. Give it some decorative appeal to make it look a little bit better. But really, I wouldn't want to live here. You're going to have people who want to work at the industry. They're going to be forced to move here, to live here. I love the church. You guys rocked and rolled. One of the prettiest assets in the prop is this church. One of the really nice features of the props. I enjoy the sheriff's office. I don't know, there's something about the design of that building, very simple, but yet something about it I like. They're all nice designs on the building. Pretty cool looking. Then if you follow on my passenger, here you go. Here's like the big redwoods. really awesome looking trees. There just isn't enough really beautiful looking areas, just not enough trees, not enough flat spots. This is the area where you'll fight to find flat spots over here. And this is probably one of the flattest areas that you could use. I did not use it. And the reason I didn't use it is because I did bring an industry over and I've sat it down and it does have a slope and I didn't want to have to put all kinds of dirt work in. And if you put I'm going to show you this because it happened over here. This is a depot, right? You can have 3 of them on your map. So I put the depot over here on top of this dirt, saved the game, leave, go out, come back in, and what happens is your industry will sit on top of the dirt at first, but the second you save it and come back in, it drops down to the ground. So this actually sat up higher, and if you look at the platform to where the train pulls in, see how low it is? That's because it sinks down to the actual ground level. You cannot save it to where the industry will sit on top of the dirt. Everything, the houses will, the barrels and all the props will, but the actual building of the industries and things will not sit on top of the groundwork. It'll sit there for the first time you put it down. When you save and come back in, it'll be sitting on the ground. So I put the depot in and I kind of doctored it up. Put a fake storefront here for the railroad station for the tickets, which I don't have a sign saying tickets. My bad. Then I put in the sheds against the wall to cover up the doors for your train pickup station for people to set. And I put in on this end the same storefront, but it's Delmonico Cafe. Delmonico was a cafe in Gunsmoke. So I put it in my railroad here. This side is normal depot drop-off. I'll bring you over here and show you the slaughterhouse that I made for bringing in your cattle to the slaughterhouse. You get off the train, you got these drop down gates to use. You bring them all in, run the herds through the chutes to the pens. Pens are all down here for holding. Run them into the slaughterhouse then. Gotta have meat. Tried to hide the posts from the signs the best I could, but the wood ruck and the hay to hide the posts for the slaughterhouse sign. Gotta have gut wagons, get rid of all them guts. Gut wagons only. In your town. So this is like in this area, your first main town, biggest one for the passenger train. Comes into this next town here. It's like try to drive by these big trees, man. They are just so beautiful looking. I just can't understand why you leave it so barren of trees. There would be trees everywhere. And there's just, look, I mean, it's just like so sparse. It's unreal looking, in my opinion. This is your depot stop here. We'll come out of here, cross the gorge. On the other side, there's another town. We pull into here. You have the Ace High Saloon. A lot of trouble there. Got your post office and your ticket station. I did something over here I like. I like what for a footpath or to get to the other part of town. Across the wooden bridge. To go to church on the other side of town. Not as populated yet. And we leave out of here. These have 3 and 4% grades to them. This is where my home is for my railroad guy. This is where he lives. I built him a beautiful little spot here by the private pond. For his fishing enjoyment. I put a picture of this on Steam work page on the screenshots from about right here. And this is the end of the line for this passenger line. Comes in to this little town, then goes and loops around and heads back again the other direction. But you have all this area with these beautiful big trees, and look at all the areas with no trees. They weren't cut. They just didn't put them down. They left it so sparse looking. I just, this was, in my opinion, this was a chance to create some very beautiful areas to put factories and drive your train through. And I think they just kind of messed up. They didn't put enough trees in. They didn't put enough flat spots for you to put an industry in. You do come over here, the last thing you want to do is to cut a single tree down. You feel so guilty if you have to cut just one tree for your railroad. You try to weave it in and out and find so you don't have to cut no trees down. I haven't cut no big ones down. Who would want to? I mean, if there was 100,000 more of them, yeah, you could cut them down and not feel guilty. But there's just not enough trees. You have enough land. That's no reason there wouldn't be trees growing here, and there's just nothing. They left it bare. So that part is, yeah, something so beautiful, and at the same time, you just kind of messed up. I wish, I wish, I wish. But all this area around this lake is comes. It's just not flat. You can't put nothing down here. You can't put an industry down here. There's not enough flat land to. Like your sawmill would be sunk down into it. The lumber would be sunk underground because it's just no flat. I purposely ran my railroad over the water because I know, I mean, I just had this thing where I I want to hit each little island. I haven't done this one yet, but I want to put a house over here. This one I've done. So I've got the, had bridges on all of them, but I didn't like the look, and I'm like, do the wood truss and then a bridge. So smaller boats could use the under the truss, and the bigger boats could go underneath the bridge. And I created a little boat over here. Delivering products and good to the islander. Got a flat bottom boat with supplies and goods in it. You got your engine back here made out of the minecart and chimneys. Got his own little boat dock, and pretty cool. Like the look of that. This just loops around and goes to the coal mine. They could make a desert map, nothing but desert, and it'd be cool. I mean, it'd just be so cool. It's got that vibe, the old West vibe. I mean, that is just so cool. It's a very nice biome. I just love it. It's really cool. The map section here of the birch trees. This is a great area. I mean, birch trees, right? They're just they only are in this swamp area, marsh, if you want to call it marsh, swamp. But they're really pretty looking. Be nicer if it was there was more of them, and they can be in an area that's not a swamp. But you got a lake. They could have been all around the lake, and they're not. Very pretty tree. I wanted to put a switch in, and it's on the water. And I did a little video of switch on the water, like smoke on the water. switch on the water. And I built this little island, and I show you how to make these rounded corners. And then you can put your fill dirt in or anything you want to fill the hole that's in the middle. Fill that any way you want. I just used dirt and then threw my switch down on top of it. And this is something I like to do here. Underneath you have the steel bridge, and on top you have the regular track that has no fill under it, so that you don't get the bottom part of the wood encroaching into the track of the closer part of the spur for the switch going the other direction. And I did a really good example. I'll show you this. I didn't show it before. It's over here. You see the metal bridging, but it's a switch, okay? And the switch sits on top of it. And I didn't cover it up because I did that on purpose because I wanted to show it in this video. You can cover that up with wood or the board so that it doesn't show, but I did it because I wanted to show it off in this video. And you connect back here, you put your switch down, and you put the 90 crossover attached to both ends. So that you know where your switch is going to stop. Delete the switch. You bring your track in against the foundation of this part, and you raise it to where it's below the regular track there, and then you just run it straight out and eyeball it to the 90 crossover here for length, and then you go back and hook to the same end and bring it over and bend it to this one, and then you put the switch back in on top of it. Like say, you can cover up the metal rail underneath here if you want to put boards down. I did that over there on the water, put boards over top of it to hide those, and you end up with a nice looking metal rail platform for a switch that's elevated. You have to be careful here, because if you notice these two platforms here, if you put those in this section right here where they come together, will pop through and interfere with the rail. It just don't look good, and it'll hit that metal rail. I don't honestly know if it'll derail or not, but I don't like it. So I put it lower, and then I put the track over top, connected here to the that has no fill under it. So it sits on top of the bottom that's actually connected to the metal bridge here. Then I can hook my creosote bridge to the right part of the track to move forward in that direction. Something you want to think about is when you create a area like this, and I really like this. So we're going to drop down here, go back in there. You want to come to your garage here and pull it up underneath here. The reason is you want to make sure that every train is going to clear that bridge, and this is a good gauge to do it by. because every engine will pull into these sheds, and your stack is going to stick up. And one of the trains I like to use is the Cook wood burner with the big tall fat stack on it. It's one of the taller, but it fits into this shed. You can use this shed to gauge the height of how high that bridge needs to be, so that every train will clear it when it goes under it. Like this is an elevated track from the ground, so it would be different if the track was on the ground, but it's elevated, so you got to know if it'll clear. That's how I gauged it, so that I knew that every train will clear going under here. I think I've been to every industry and showed this map off. And my idea of a passenger line that is separate from the freight line. So that's it in a nutshell. That's what I think of the Pine Valley map, or Lake Valley map. I like it. I hate it, but really I'm happy to have it. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you.